Mormon! I injured my shoulder months ago and now I gotta wear a sling. And that has nothing to do with anything, so shut up! I'm gonna talk about Gamera movies. You can't because you didn't watch them. Because you're too little. And they're very violent. So yeah, I watched the Gamera Heisei 90s trilogy directed by should know his name. I'm not totally about to look that up right now. Shusuke Kaneko. I'm good with words. I hadn't seen him in like 20 fucking years almost. More actually, yeah, just about. Over the weekend I just started watching them. Actually, I think I watched the first one like a week ago. That's not important! But I watched the last two, like, a few hours ago. But they're about as good as I remember. They're a little bit cheesier than I remembered. But still, like, really well done. And a huge change of pace from, like, everything that came before them. At least when it comes to, like, Godzilla and Gamera. Obviously, you have, like, super campy stuff in the Showa era. Except for 1954. That is a masterpiece, and when they used it as inspiration for Shin Godzilla, that was another masterpiece. I'm real good at analyzing things. And then, like, the 90s movies got really formulaic. I need to, like, watch through those again, because it's been just about as long since I've seen those. But they definitely got formulaic. There was, like, the same general... Cat. He was in, like, every movie, and they're in, like, his war conference room, going over how to, like, beat Godzilla or beat whatever Godzilla's fighting, and there's always, like, some ability or something, some cupid shit he wins. But that's kind of... Okay, that last part is kind of all of these movies, but... Yeah, this was a big change from pretty much everything. Like, the Showa Gamera movies were, you know... The Showa Gamera movies. I don't hate them, I just don't often go back to watch them, ever. I have not. Once. Someday I will. Maybe. I'll come back and we'll all be that much more defeated. And by all us, we, I mean me, because nobody's watching this shit, I wonder why. But yeah, these movies feel a lot more cinematic than, like, everything that came before. I mean, they almost, in terms of, like, quality and just feeling like movies, they're pretty kind of up there with Shin Godzilla. I mean, Shin is definitely a lot better overall, but these are, like, it's hard to explain, but they're also kind of, they're leagues ahead of, like, what came before them, I guess, in terms of how they were shot and how they tried to make them more like movies. Maybe Martin Scorsese might actually like them. Who fucking cares? But yeah, let's talk about the movies now. It's only been 4 minutes is just wasting my life and life of everything. Shut up and do it already. So Gamera gets a nice, well, he gets a nice facelift 3 times actually, but he looks a lot better than his Showa self. But I mean, they had a really tight budget with the Showa Gameras, I believe. Gamera kind of looked like paper mache back then. And he looks like a Suitmation man now. His first movie look was very happy and almost like a big chibi Gamera, which I guess that's when he's like the most connected to humans and the most heroic. The second movie, he's a lot like sleeker, kind of angrier, more monstrous looking, which by the end of that movie, he breaks his connection with humanity. So I guess that was kind of like an intermediary thing, because by the third movie, he looks like a big angry boy. And he's just blowing shit up. He's sending people flying. He gives no fucks when he's trying to kill a bunch of Gauss. So I think that's like on purpose. I think that's supposed to be just him getting darker and edgier the more he's like separated from humanity. He's definitely more monstrous by the end, and the second movie, his look there sort of, it serves as like the perfect link between chibi first movie Gamera and giant asshole bad boy Gamera. It's my favorite design because of that. It's a really good mix. I think it's like the best suit he's had. The fights in the movies are pretty fucking awkward though. I mean, Suitmation fights generally are, but these do like some weird things at times. Like when Gamera ends the fight with Gauss, he gets like dropped onto a power plant or something, oil refinery. I'm not sure what it is. It blows up a lot though, and it seems like the girl he's connected with, because when they find him, he's just a floating petrified mass with a bunch of like comma-shaped stones on him, and this girl ends up getting one of them, and she bonds with Gamera and seems to kind of know what he's feeling. And so by the end of the movie, when he's dropped on this plant and it explodes, there's fiery explosions everywhere, and the girl is like holding hands with her father, and they seem to kind of be charging Gamera, I guess, because when they hold hands, Gamera's suddenly able to just suck in a lot of this explosion flame, and they just blows Gauss the fuck up with it. It's pretty nasty, actually, though. The whole fucking... I'll get to that. Just, it's gross. And like the second fight, the second movie, in the fight with Legion, he decides to just suck in the Earth's energy and just create a beam that comes out of his shell. Like, the shell on it, the chest part of his shell sort of opens up and retracts, and he fires a giant energy flame blast out of it after he just sucks in what looks like it's the Earth's energy, but it also kind of looks like flame. They never once mention it, really, in the second movie. It's explained later on, but in the context of the second movie, it's just a thing Gamera does. He's just like, I'm done with this fight. And he sucks in, like, power and just blows the shit out of... blows Legion the fuck up. He's just like, you're done. And it literally comes out of nowhere. There's no build-up to it. He's just like, I'm done with this. And it's great, but also just weird. And then in the third movie, when he's fighting Iris, that movie's like main monster, he just kind of like, once again, sort of sucks in flame energy. He has to like blow his hand up, which I'll get more into. And Iris is shooting some of his own fire energy back at him, and he's just like, oh yeah, I can absorb this into my hand stump and form flame hand and just murder you. Wish that was like a nice build-up, or like building off of what they did in the first movie with his like flame absorption, but he also just does it on his own. He has zero connection to humans at this point, so nobody's powering him on to do this. He just does it, and he's like, yeah, this fight's over too. Bye. But like getting more into it, the fights are kind of awkward. Like in the first movie, they're really jank. There's a lot of weird like flying animation and stuff they do. But I mean, it was the first movie in a long time, and I don't think budget was the greatest. By the third movie, the budget, you can tell they had probably raked some money in, and someone was giving them a little more to make movie with. But like the first movie, the fight choreography is just so weird. Oh, like Gamera does like a weak looking kind of slice, I think, at Gauss at one point with like these weird elbow like spike nub thingies that come out, and it's such like a wimpy looking slash, but it sends Gauss like flying a whole fucking city away. Like it's so weird looking. Gamera, like I remember how to say names. Gamera bites Gauss on his snoot and is just like walking him back at one point. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's just biting the pointy nose thing on Gauss's face meat, and he's just walking him back. He's like, we're going this way now. And it's like, all right. Then like Gauss, I think earlier before that, he's in the air and is trying to like fly while clawing at Gamera, who's on the ground, and it looks kind of odd. It's just very awkward because I think a guy is actually hanging above him. It's almost like the first movie was more like the Showa movies with how weird the fights. They do get better in the second and third ones, just, yeah. And they're like awkwardly dodging each other at one point. It's funny because it's like, it's these two guys in these bulky suits, and it's like, they're not even really close to each other when they're ducking each other's blows. But, I mean, you get what you get. It's kind of hard to film that and do it, I bet. Yeah, and that fight just ends abruptly with the whole family power fire absorption thing without it ever really being explained. The daughter just thanks the father for helping, and it's like, what did we do? And like Gamera, you know, he just ends Legion, and yeah, that's not, there's nothing building up to it throughout the movie. It's never mentioned he can like draw on Earth's power. It's more just he's kind of Earth's protector, and maybe he likes humans, maybe he doesn't, but he's mostly just there to, you know, protect the Earth itself. But even that is just kind of mentioned at the end of the movie. And he doesn't use that same sucking power, because there's another planet that blows up when Legion is like shooting this very powerful beam at him. He blows up a plant around Gamera, and it's like, if there ever was a time to draw in a lot of fire, he almost blew up the planet with this shit. But I guess there wasn't family sucking to help him, so he didn't. And it's funny because, like, there are so many times where Legion just is, like, missing with that beam. And when the beam does hit Gamera, I'll get more into it later, but it definitely hurts him. It might be one of the most powerful fucking beams in, like, Godzilla and Gamera movies ever. Like, it just wipes out a battalion of tanks and has, like, mile-high explosions when he hits them with it. And he only really hits Gamera squarely with it once, or she. They never actually say what Legion even is. It just seems to spit out babies at one point. But yeah, like, this beam is super powerful, and it misses most of the time. Like, and then, like, with Gamera and Iris, they have a really cool, like, sky battle, which sort of gets interrupted. Because the military likes to shoot Gamera down in these movies. Once he's made a mess of things, they like to intervene and be like, we should focus on him, even though he's fighting that other monster. They do it when he fights Gauss and decide to shoot him out of the sky. And then they do it again when he's fighting Iris, and they shoot him kind of out of the sky. To be fair, he does level a lot of the city both times, and in the third movie, he sends people flying with his explosion, like his flame blasts. Like, it's pretty graphic. He's killing tons of people. There's a Gauss he's about to shoot at, but there's a building in the way, and there's people in the building, which he clearly sees, and he's like, fuck it. And he just shoots a fireball right through the building and roasts the Gauss. Actually, no, the Gauss, I think, dodges, and he keeps shooting more of them, more of the fireballs, and the city is just getting annihilated in the third movie when he's attacking these, like, multiple Gauss. But yeah, so they shoot him out of the sky when he's fighting Iris, and it kind of puts an end to that, and that's, like, the bulk of their fight. Because once they're on the ground, they sort of grapple, and, like, they're just hugging for a bit, and Gamera sort of turns Iris into this, like, train station, and then it's another point. Gamera's just he just falls over. It's like, I guess Iris knocked him down. It's not clear. Like, after they go into the train station, next thing you see is, when they cut back to the monsters fighting, is Gamera falling back, and it's like, the fuck happened? You alright, dude? Did the actor fall and they just decided to use it? Because that's happened with Godzilla before, at least once. And yeah, then he just kind of, that's literally just that part of the fight. He ends it pretty much right after that. He gets up. He gets, like, stabbed a bunch and then does the flame hand thing and wins. And just somehow blows up only the part of the train station that Iris is in. I guess he cared about people at that point and didn't want to blow them up. So he controlled whatever. But yeah, the movies, that like, that reminds me of just how violent the movies were, because Gamera gets, like, stabbed a lot in these fights. Legion, like, fucking chops into him with her claw thingies. I think he gets shanked at least once by Legion. Actually, I think it's a couple times. Iris stabs him, like, twice, and when Iris... no, actually, I think Iris does, like, one major stab. I saw these movies, I swear! But it leaves, like, a big red gaping, like, hole, so you can kind of look into, like, the flame energy inside of Gamera. Gauss blows a chunk of Gamera's, like, shoulder and shell meat off, and it's with that beam that he really doesn't get hit with again. But the one time he does, it fucks him up. I think he does get hit another time, like in the chest, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember now. I don't think he really got hit all that often. It was a very explosive and powerful beam, though. It really fucked his shit up. Like, he blows off his own hand, like I said, before he does the fire hand trick with it. And his hand gets stabbed through first, and his energy's getting sucked out of him, and that's why he's like, alright, he's starting to use my flame energy. Or Iris is starting to use my flame energy with his tendril thingies, and he knows, like, he's about to get shot with it. So he's like, fuck this! And he just blasts a fireball into his hand, and then he lets out this really loud scream. It's like, oh shit, that hurt! Like, I mean, that's exactly how anyone... That was the right reaction. It's just amazing to see a kaiju just do that. He's like, fuck it, I gotta do what I gotta do!